Hey guys, I just really wanted to come on and just really say how excited I am today because we have a guest. We have our second guest on the show today, and this woman is just phenomenal. I love talking to her, I love training with her. She is so positive and uplifting and encouraging, and she has really blessed my soul on so many occasions. And so I'm so honored to have the opportunity to introduce you guys to her. She is a woman of God, and she's also a fitness coach. I'm not going to say trainer because what she does is so much more than train. She really encourages you, she uplifts you, like I said before. So, and she really just tries to get to the heart and the root of what's going on. And so I really enjoy that about her. And so I'm so excited to be able to introduce her to you and let you hear a little bit about her story and let you hear about why we think that faith and fitness go together. Stay tuned. All right, so welcome to Sunday Showers from the Source, and today we have Miss Rachel Word. Yay! So I'm not gonna hesitate. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started, and we're gonna get down with the get down. Are you ready?
All right.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, the first question I have for you is, how did you get started in fitness?
Okay, so I got started in college. Like we could go way back. Like we could go like
Go back as far as you need to.
but I really got started in fitness in college because for whatever reason I thought I was like, why not do a bodybuilding competition? Because everybody's doing it. Not really. Nobody's doing it. So
I was gonna say, what college did you go to when everybody was doing it?
And I decided to hire a coach and like online, and she prepped me for my first bodybuilding competition, and I got like in super shape. At least what I thought was like, oh my god, this is the fittest I've ever been. I was super small, whatever, right? Then I upgraded into a different division because I was like, I want a little bit more muscle. Like I was like a $120. I was not usually that small. I was like, yo, this is too small. Like it was crazy. So, and you think about the chicken, broccoli, rice, miserable, just miserable, eating the same things every day, 12 almonds, 5 egg whites,
Oh, wow.
whatever. Like it was down to a T, like eat this at this time. Like it was crazy. And so I was like, I want a little bit more muscle, hired a different coach, and then kind of went to a figure division and then put on more muscle and then kind of did well in that division too. But what happened was, and I don't want to like get too far into like what your questions are, right? Once I stepped off stage, getting off the restriction of like, or the, not necessarily restriction, but yes, restriction.
It is restriction,
like, yeah. The very detailed type of eating this particular way, your body goes crazy. And so I really didn't know what to do at that point. And that's when I feel like God started doing his work in me when it came to, okay, you're gonna help people do better and show them that this is not the way. Mm-hmm. Like there's a better way than
restriction
and meal plans and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what led me into passion into fitness. Say that. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So with that passion, how you said passion into fitness, I feel like, especially working with you in different arenas, I feel like in this newest, well, it's not new. You've been doing it for you've been doing it for a couple of years now.
Oh yeah. 2021?
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
I think that's whenever I was like, okay.
Official. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like in this particular endeavor, you are definitely focused more on women.
Yes.
And on moms.
Yes.
And I think that, I knew you pre-babies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. So I think that, and I probably would not be wrong if I said they had something to do with this, mm-hmm. this change in your passion and focus and as far as fitness is concerned. So what is it that makes you so passionate about helping women to be more fit and more healthy?
So here's the thing. When you first met me, I don't even know if I wanted kids at that point. It was crazy. Like the Lord has done some things on me. But I married a husband who's been wanting to be a dad since he was 11. So I was
Your
like, I
husband is
know
amazing.
eventually I'm going to have kids. I'm just not there yet, right? And so the things that I would tell women, Pat, like you, I was training moms, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, for whatever reason, I was drawn to y'all, but like I wasn't a mom yet. So I would tell y'all advice from my own perspective without knowing anything. I'm so ashamed of stuff that I may or may not have told y'all, exercise that I may or may not have said, because I just didn't know any better, right? And so it's just different. Being a mom, like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
You know? And so then once I became a mom, I was like, I saw so many moms struggling with postpartum, whether it was weight, letting themselves go, letting their kids pretty much take over their whole lives, even sometimes their marriage, right? And I was like, two things I am going to make sure that my kids don't do is make me let myself go and ruin my marriage. It sounds bad. That sounds bad. But
no, it does not.
But you know what I'm talking about.
It does not. And I'm sorry. I hope this doesn't get you off of track. But one thing I say and I think I said this on me and my husband's podcast, that it's us against our kids. It's us against the 100%, world. It's 100%. Us against our parents. It's us against our kids. It's us against anybody else that is not who God has joined together. Right. It says, who God has joined together, let no man put asunder. That's the little men, the little women, the big men, the big women. Right. And so I'm definitely a proponent of, when they are grown and gone, we're all we have. Right. So we have to figure out how to maneuver and live and thrive in our relationship. And when we have a good relationship, then that's better for our kids. 100%. Right. Exactly. And so many times I saw that just falling by the wayside and kids running lives. And I'm like, no, they're eventually going to go do their own thing and they go and forget about us. Right. Yes. And so I was kind of, it's bad, but I do best when I try to prove people wrong. Like, and it wasn't necessarily that, but it was like, I'm here to make a statement kind of thing. Like, yeah, like sort of, but not really. Like, so I was going into with that mentality, like, okay, I'm not going to say like my baby's ruined my body. Like, no, I'm going to prove to myself first that I can get fit, if not fitter after kids. And I'm also going to show other people they can do it too. Right. Okay. And my husband was like, yeah, because if you do it, then you can be like, you ain't got no excuse. Right. But I was like, no, I'm not going to say that because you can't do that. Okay. So then after my first kid, dude, I grinded. It was tough. It was hard trying to navigate a newborn. My son was particularly hard as a newborn. I would say that didn't know, first time parent, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And I feel like walking, fitness saved me. Honestly, like it kept me sane. It was your self-care. It was my self-care. It was me and a crying baby looking at each other. So we could either just sit there, or I could go do something for me so I could be a little bit more sane while he's still crying and we figure it out, right? And so I would do things with him regardless, looking for pockets of time, whatever, right? So I got in better shape after my first kid than I had ever gotten, ever. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was like, when you become a mom, superpowers are unleashed. That's what made me a believer. Like, oh, moms are on a different level. Yeah. I get it now because we gotta navigate all the things. It doesn't stop. Momming does not stop. There is no off days. If you're sick, doesn't matter. Okay. You still got a mom, right? And so, it was important for me to take care of myself, with that too. And so there was that. And I was like, okay, cool. Killing it. I'm going to show other moms they could do this too. And then I had my twins. Did you have C-sections with your twins? I had C-section with my twins. I've had 3 C-sections. Okay. So here's the thing, Pat. And I'll hopefully kind of show you how God works too. Is with King, I had the perfect birth. Okay. I was like, I had it exactly how I wanted it. I wanted a all natural, I didn't want to be in a hospital. Hospital scared me. I just wanted to have him naturally at a birth center, and I got exactly what I wanted. It was
wonderful. My husband caught my baby. It was great. Okay.
You did a water birth, didn't you?
I wanted to have water birth, but it was just my contract. I ended up hands and knees, old school.
The best way to go. Yeah.
Old school, right? And so for my twins, I was like, all right, God, we're gonna have this water birth finally, and it's gonna be amazing, because usually this doesn't happen. I'm like, God, you could just, just work through me with this birth. Well, I had the exact opposite. I had I guess you would call it an emergency C-section,
Mhm.
right? Because what happened was, up until that point, I was using the birth center, right? And I was at 36 weeks, and it looked like my twins were transverse. And what's the other one where you're flipped upside down? I can't remember. Breech.
Ooh.
So it was double whammy. There was no chance. Even if there were breech, there was a slight chance,
Yeah,
right?
I just saw this woman who one was fine and the other one was breech, and the doctor went in there and just kind of pulled him out by his legs.
Yep.
Craziest thing in the world.
Right. And I was like, I was willing to be like, I will die on this hill. I will do, it's fine, right? But finally my midwife was like, we can't do that, man. Like it's going to be like, literally your body we can't, right?
Right.
So we had to find a doctor like a week prior, because usually with King, he came at like 38 weeks. And so it was that time coming up, I was like, wow. So I was in mourning for a while. It was like a good 3 days where I just cried.
Mm-hmm.
I just cried because I was like, Lord, why? Why do I have to go through this? I don't want to get cut open. I don't want to be in a hospital. I don't want to deal with this, that. And I just had this horrible, like, I imagine hospital birth just being horrible. I don't know why. Like, because I guess it depends on the hospital, right? Because again, I'm a little granola when it comes to like that stuff. Okay. And so not full granola, but a little bit. Okay. And so we found a doctor last minute, and literally a week later, I went into labor, and I was like, okay, this is happening. And again, it was God just setting up stuff. Like, found a doctor, met with him, cool, had a check, ... Then went into labor at like 37 weeks, like bam, like on the dot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is happening. And I was like, there's a chance. What if they just flip? What if I don't have to go there? What if they don't have to actually cut me open? And then I went in. At this point, I had prayed a lot. I was like, all right, God had took that week, 3 days of mourning, and then for me to be like, okay, what are you going to do with this, Lord?
Mm-hmm.
If I have to go with this, you better do something. Mm-hmm. You better use me then, okay? For your glory, because that's what my life's about. This is bringing you glory. Right. So, okay, came to terms with that. Once I was in the hospital room, they were like, cool, still transverse, still breech, gotta do a C-section. And I was like, at that point, I was like at peace with it. Okay, we're doing this, fine, cool. I was like 5 centimeters dilated. And I was like chilling. I was like, man, this could have been so cool. Like just a bloop, but whatever, right? So they wheeled me into this, like, it's cold in there. This cold white room with a bunch of tools and stuff or whatever. I didn't feel a thing. Hospital staff was amazing. Doctor was amazing. It was incredible. It was incredible, like taking care of wives. I was still, though, traumatized by not having the birth that I wanted. And, it affected me a little bit afterwards. Like, dang, because you've dealt with 3 C-sections. Mm-hmm. That recovery is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's no joke. And I don't know about you, but I have this like permanent shelf.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
It's just
there forever.
It's there. You could massage the scar tissue all you want. People can think that they know, who are not dealing with it, but like there's only so much you can do, right? Yeah. And that recovery made me be like, oh, now I know what moms be like. Babies ruin my body. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like I was stretched so far. There's stretch
because
marks.
There was 2 of them in there.
Yeah, one was 5 pounds and 6 ounces. One was 5 pounds, 14 ounces. So there was a lot of baby in there. And, I had a lot. I got skin. I got this scar. I got my abdominals. It's just, it's distended. Mm-hmm. I had this new hernia that I got to get fixed. I get it fixed like 12 weeks later. But like my body's jacked. I'm like, I don't want to say that I went into postpartum depression. I don't want to claim that, but because I don't know. I feel like for some women there's levels maybe.
I think there is levels.
But if I were to label it, maybe
and it's no shame in that.
Maybe I were to label it that was happening, that my twins were amazing.
Mhm.
Girls
They are so cute.
girls, those are my girls, right? I don't know. And they weren't King. I was not looking forward to the newborn stage because of King. I love my son, by the way. Okay, I got to disclaimer that. But again, hard newborn. I was like, I'm going to have 2 of them. Lord. Okay. But no, they're amazing. Okay. Even if there was 2 of them, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's a girl boy thing, but these girls are, God knows what he's doing. Right.
Yeah.
And so they were chilling. And then it was just me having to look myself in the mirror every day to be like, am I always going to see this? Can I fix this or not? And I was doing all the things, Pat. I was doing all the things that I knew to do as a trainer and what I did before. And it was like,
not working.
Like, and it wasn't even a scale. The scale was like, oh, on scale numbers, I'm on point. All the baby weight is gone. But now I got this big old pregnant belly still with the scar and all this stuff. And I'm like, this just looks different, right? But if you know me, I'm not crazy about the scale in general. Like so that's a whole other topic, right? And so I was like, I'm like, God, what? I can't even like show moms that they could come back from this because like, I was like, I thought you were going to use this, I thought you were going to use me to be able to, show moms that they can too. But the time frame that it took me to get in shape after King, it wasn't the same. It didn't translate the same as the twins. So with King, 4 or 5 months, I'm like, all right, marathon, let's go. I trained for a marathon with the twins, but my body was still like, it had a lot of recovery to do. And so we're talking 4 or 5 months, 15, 16 months.
Right.
Like we're talking a year plus for me to be like, oh, there's my body. And so having to deal with the mental hurdle of, I don't know if this is going to work because it's not working, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. I'm just going to show up and do the things. I'm going to fuel my body. I'm going to show up in this gym and perform. I'm going to lift. I'm going to do my pelvic floor. I'm going to do my deep core. I'm going to do all that stuff on the off chance that maybe one day I will see it pay off. And after I got the hernia surgery, that helped the distension. Sorry again, I told you I was long-winded.
Oh no.
It's all part of,
It's okay.
But I had hernia surgery. That was a whole nother thing. That was a dark place.
I've had that before.
Because
I don't know if you remember the first time you trained me, I couldn't do like sit-ups and stuff because I had the Distasis rectum.
See,
it was like 4 fingers. Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, this is what we need to do. I didn't know. Okay. And so, to all women, you need to do a pelvic floor program, something after you have kids. Okay. So yeah, with the hernia, I decided because I was like, I'm already recovering from my C-section, might as well knock them out. Like boom, boom, like cool. Probably 0 out of 10 recommend. But because it was like, I was already in this state where I'm like, oh, what's happening? And then I had hernia surgery. And then it was like,
to put you back at square one or maybe -1.
Dark times.
Yeah.
Okay. So once I recovered from that, it helped a little bit with the distension, but it was still like okay, I'm still here. What can I do about this? So that made me be like, once I started hitting it, but like once I got to a place where I felt a little bit more comfortable with my body, that's when I was like, no, like moms are my total jam. Like even if I just wanted to help women in general, I don't know that I need to be that person for all women. I feel like my people are moms, like because we just think different. We know
priorities are different.
And I was like, that's who I can vibe with, right? And now what God did, kind of being on the other side, was okay, he allowed me to have 2 different like experiences. Right? One with perfect birth, one with the not perfect birth, and how I was able to kind of come out of that and look how I look no matter what type of birth I had. But he also, he just put you through the fire so you could kind of have your own testimony and so you can relate. I would have never been able to relate to a C-section mom if I had not
had a C-section.
And how it literally kind of traumatized my body, honestly, in such a way that's like permanent. It ain't going back. It's never going to look the same ever again.
Yeah.
And being okay with that and still being like, I'm still going to get in super shape. I'm still going to do it, even if it looks a little bit different.
Right.
It's a very hard place to just accept your body, your new body as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you can get tummy tucks and all that stuff, but whatever, it ain't going to look the same.
It ain't
going. So yeah, moms just became my people. My people. Yes. Okay.
Well, I will say that I didn't feel some kind of way when you were training me.
Okay.
The first time, this last time, you were a mom too. You had already had the twins and everything.
Yes.
But the first time, I didn't feel some kind of way, and I feel like the first time, you got me in great shape. Like I was. And I was doing like where you put your crawl up the wall with your feet and like all that. And I was like in it, but it was also like in the middle of COVID.
Oh.
So like all I had to do was I had nothing else to do, nowhere else to go and stuff.
Right on.
But something you said about like just sticking through it and like just going into the gym every day and being like on the off chance that I see something different. That's consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think a lot of times we want the drive-through method in everything in life. Mm-hmm. We don't want to get out the car. We just want to go straight through to the quickest way to point B as possible.
I know, yep.
And I feel like the problem with that is you don't enjoy the journey.
That's right. That's correct.
Because and sometimes that the destination is not lasting.
Right.
And we feel like, oh, the destination is the goal. Mm-hmm. But as you journey through going through those things, going to the gym every day, all of that, you start to find value in yourself, value in doing things for you, value in setting a goal and accomplishing it, and value in loving yourself where you are.
Right.
Because you're constantly going into the gym and not seeing, because I'm sure other people could see the changes, but you seeing what you want to see.
Right.
Not seeing that, but you're still being committed to going in there. And I think that can correlate with our Christian life, because a lot of times we feel like we want God to fix it right now. Yep. And like, okay, God, bless me indeed, bless me with this right now. And then he doesn't.
I know.
What's going on? It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to bless you right now. Right now, I'm going to allow you to have your 40 years in the wilderness type of experience. And I'm just going to sustain you with manna as I take you to this. Or it's going to be one of those Paul type of things where this is a thorn in a bush. I mean, where this is the thorn that I'm giving you in your side, and my grace is sufficient for it. So, so I think that a lot like that, that's why, and like half the reason I wanted to have you on is, number one, you are so inspirational as far as like how hard you work and like how you bounce back and everything like that. But also because faith and fitness can go hand in hand. Oh, yes. I think a lot of times we put them in like my fitness and my faith, and we put them into two different categories. But a lot of times what you'll see is if you put them together, it strengthens. Oh, yes. One can help strengthen the other.
Yes.
And so I think that that's important, because when you have a strong body, you can have a strong mind. And if you have a strong mind, it can strengthen. It allows you to have strengthen your body. So I think that that's important.
Yes.
To have both.
Mm-hmm. Kind of not on the mom topic. Mm-hmm. One thing that early on, even now, but I didn't talk about kind of getting off stage, and then kind of like, I didn't dive into like the darkness that kind of happened that God was doing during that time. Like, we're talking disorders and stuff that happened in that time. And he kind of freed me from that too. That was a whole nother thing that he could use for me to be able to relate to people. Right.
Right.
Which again, when you're going through it, you're like, why me, Lord? And I'm a fitness person. Why do I have to go? Because, but again, he's amazing. He knows what he's doing. Right. And I couldn't understand while I was building my faith, because in college, my faith was like, I was like, you can't tell me nothing. I was evangelizing to everybody. Everybody didn't know about Jesus. Like, I was just, I don't know. I was a new Christian. I was like, I got saved when I was a freshman. Like,
you were on fire. You had that new fire.
I had the new fire. Okay.
That don't know no trials or tribulations fire.
Right. So I'm going through it. I'm like, oh, Lord. So that was whenever we got real close. Right. And he was able to deliver me from something that I felt like I could not do myself. Right. Yeah. And I couldn't understand why more pastors didn't talk about that. Why didn't more pastors talk about health and fitness, and why did I see so many overweight and unhealthy, and joke about eating grease, fried, whatever, and then kind of carry this weight in bigger clothes or whatever. I didn't understand why it was okay for all these pastors at church. You know what I'm saying? Just to
Yeah,
get on a deeper level.
and I'm going to say it, just especially in the Black Baptist Church. But that seems like how it is.
I didn't say it, she did. But
I said it.
You know, and I didn't understand. And I'm looking in the Bible, and it talks about gluttony. I'm like, does nobody see this part? Does nobody see this part? Because this is actually a sin that no, everybody's just gonna gloss out over that. Like, oh, that's just the thing that you overeat, you overconsume. But like, I'm pretty sure God, he says that's not what he wants us to do, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like, it just made me dig deeper.
Yeah.
I think really digging deeper for myself, even though I didn't have pastors. I've been through my fair share of churches, right? But pastors wouldn't talk about food at all. When I'm like, me knowing and being through all the things and having so many different clients and moms, dude, it gets real spiritual that people may or may not want to recognize it at all, whether they serve the Lord or not. There is strongholds that happen with food. Like, the devil knows what he's doing.
He can tempt you. Yeah.
You gotta eat, right? And so it's like, I feel like that's a way that he could just kind of get in, and, you know, what more does he want than to make you just in the unhealthiest state possible, and to just, steal, kill, and destroy your whole health.
Like, and also because sometimes how you are in one thing is how you are in a lot of things. So if you're greedy in the eating version, you might be greedy in the financial version. You might be greedy in the self-absorption version. So it's like that can be illuminated in different areas of your life. And Romans 12:1 says, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. So if we're offering our bodies as a living sacrifice, lambs were the holy sacrifice, right? There were the lambs who were sacrificial were raised separately. They were coddled and taken very good care of. The reason Jesus was wrapped in swaddling clothes was to mimic the fact that the lambs that were going to slaughter were wrapped in swaddling clothes so that they wouldn't be bruised or bumped or deformed or have any kind of blemish. So when you see the care that was taken for something that was going to be sacrificed, like, you got to see the correlation between the fact that we have to take care of our bodies because it says offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. And if I sit here and I eat everything I want, and just lay on the couch all day watching the soaps or whatever the case may be, and I don't move my body, then I am hindering my ability to minister. Right. Because I'm going to be winded. Right. I'm going to be lazier. I'm going to be sleepy. I'm not going to have the energy. I'm not going to have the vigor. And so now there may be things that God wants to do through me that I am hindering him from doing because I am not taking care of the temple that he gave me. That's so if I'm offering my body as a living sacrifice, I'm saying, God, do with it as you please. But if I'm offering my body and saying, do with it as you please, but I cannot get up off the couch or I can't walk more than a block, it's not much he can do with my body. And we think about it as the soul aspect of it, right? But it's the whole person. It's the whole, yes. Your faith, God wants all of you. He doesn't just want your heart and your mind and your spirit. He wants your body. And in order to be used by God, you have to take care of what he's giving you. And just like you're like, oh, I'm going to be a good steward of my money. I'm going to be a good steward and pray over my kids. Right. You have to be a good steward over your body. Right. And then in that same sense, could be in the same book. I can't remember, but it was like, your body's not your own. It's the same one. You keep going. Therefore, honor God with your body. Like, yes. It's not even like yours, bro. He gave it to you. Exactly. You know? And so take care of it. Yeah. Take care of it. And actually, it's so funny you said it. She hasn't started yet, but I had someone who I actually trained a long time ago, and she told me something very interesting. She was like, when I asked like your why do you do this kind of thing, just so I could dig deeper and see if I could help,
And she was like, it's going to sound crazy, but I feel like God's about to do something in my life in this next chapter that I'm going to be in, and I need to be ready. That means I need to get myself, like, I need to get this body right because right now it ain't where it's at. And I was like, that's crazy. You know, I thought that was very interesting. I was like, yep. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And that's exciting because she knows that God's put something on her heart and she wants to be ready for it. But also fitness helps you mentally.
Yes.
Because it does, like, what it does to you, like, while sometimes, especially like the workouts you were sending me.
But you're on a different level. Listen,
I was praying for her.
You're a different level, Pat, okay?
To stop sending them to me. Not I was like, Rachel, I love you. I love you a lot. Thank you for sending me this wonderful workout. That's not at all what I was saying. But I will say that it was making me talk to myself because I would say I knew that you knew me. And for you to send me these things, I knew that you believed that I was able to do it. 100%. So that gave me the stamp, like, okay, if she thinks that I can do this, then I can do it. So I'm going to get it done.
That's cool.
And when those 25-pound weights came in the mail, I was like, oh, so I'm not going to stick to my 20s or my 10s or my 15s. And she was like, no, this is where you live now.
Right.
Welcome.
Yes. I was like, how long have we been in here? Yeah. So, yep. So,
but I think so a lot of times, and I will say to this day, like, I'm not where, and I'm going to say, okay, so first I'm going to go ahead and finish that statement. I'm not where I would like to be. But I'm in that sweet spot where I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really gauging where I want to be on the scale right now.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm gauging, I want to build muscle tone in my arms and in my legs. And like, I was putting on lotion the other day and I was like, whose calves are those? You know? So it's like, it's different. And because I understand that weight looks different on different people. And there was this guy, Kev on Stage, that I follow.
Yes.
Do you follow him?
I don't follow him, but he's hilarious.
He made a post yesterday and he said, that person whose body you admire admires somebody else's body.
Yes. That part.
And that was like so true. To me, that was so true because it's like we always are like, oh, if I could just get to that point, if I could just be as fit as that person, as thin as that person. And you don't know that you're trying to strive to be that person. And they're like, oh, if I can just be as fit as this person, as healthy as this person.
Right.
And that made me think about my own life. Like I used to look like this. I'm going to put the picture right here.
Yes.
And when I was that weight, well, first, that was like after I had my first child. When I first got married, I was like 177, something like almost 180 pounds.
Okay.
At that point in time, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so miserable. I want to lose the weight. You know, once I finally got it in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to finally do something about it. I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, that's what happens. Oh, I've had that happen.
So I got pregnant with her. And actually, after I had her, I lost a couple of pounds. I was a little bit lighter. But then life was lifing and I was eating my feelings. I wasn't going to God with my issues and things. I was just trying to stuff them down. We were going through a very hard time. Like my husband had been unemployed for a while. After we had our daughter, my husband was unemployed for like 2 years and 8 months. And for the first part of that unemployment, I was like, when are you going to fix it? 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 And I was also eating and eating and eating. It was somewhere in maybe the last 7 to 8 months where I switched it to from when are you going to fix it to what do you want me to learn? What is it that you would have me to learn? And the interesting thing is that when I switched that, I also switched and started taking care of my body. I started eating better. I started walking every day. On my walks, I was praying and listening to gospel music, and my walks started turning to runs. And then after that, I looked like this. I'm going to put the picture right here. And then the interesting thing is at this weight, I was like 170 pounds.
Mhm.
That's only 7 pounds lighter than I was when I got married. But I was happy
Right.
at that weight compared to what I was before. But when I was close to that weight before, I was so unhappy with it.
Right.
So
Crazy.
unhappy with
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
And so I feel like we do that to ourselves as well. Like we say, oh, if I could just get back to where I was, if I could just get back to how I was before.
Mhm.
But we can't compare. We have to take where we are right now and then move forward.
Mhm.
What is a goal that I have that's not necessarily a number on a scale? Because I will also tell you that the way I looked in that picture, that second picture, I looked better than I looked when I had gotten married, you know, on my wedding day, because I was more fit.
Wow.
So even though I weighed pretty much the same, the composition of that weight looks different.
Yep. Mhm.
Totally different.
Yep. Mhm.
And so I think that it like that brings me to this question that I want to ask you. Do you feel that comparison
Mhm.
is an issue?
Yes. Two ways especially when you're talking. One, the comparison of before you became a mom and then after,
Mhm.
because I have to sometimes explain this to a lot of moms often is that, hey, you have this new body now. It's never going to be previous. Like, I get that, you want to be like, but I used to do this before, or I used to look like this, or this is before kid. It's like, hey, sis, part of being a mom, which is, again, being a mom is just hard.
Mhm.
Again, the things that we have to deal with is crazy. One of them is accepting the fact we have a new body, whether we like it or not. We can choose to hate it every single day, or we could choose to accept it and figure out how to love this new body and what it can do. Right. And so it's like chunk that comparison of old you out of the window as a new mom. Okay, so now there's this new, and every kid is different.
Yes.
So you had your first kid, here's your body. Another kid, totally different body. Chunk that up. So it's always going to be new after each kid, because it ain't the same. I hear it all the time, like, man, I bounced back so fast after my first kid, and then my second or third or whatever, it just stayed on. You know what I mean? And they just whatever, because it's new body. So there's that. Also, what you were saying is it's really hard. I just feel like for women in general, not really just moms, but for women in general to accept where we are at. Like we're almost like we can never be satisfied with our body because there's always something
that we could do better, that could be better.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I love what you said, that you were like, I'm not where I want to be necessarily, but I'm okay with where I'm at. And that's huge, because a lot of times women will, let's say they're in a place where they're struggling, right? And then they look at old pictures and they're like, man, I look great back then. But back then they were like, they swore they should have been like 10 pounds lighter. And they were like, what was I thinking?
Yes.
And you know what's crazy, Pat? I did the same thing to myself like a week ago. I was looking at like old videos. Like, I was trying to like see if I could maybe use a reel or something, right? And I was like, I remember the stage that my mind was at that particular time. And I just swore like I looked a certain way. Like, and I was like, I didn't look that bad. What was wrong with me? Exactly. But my eyes at the time couldn't see it.
Right.
And I'm like, and I think that with like social media could be amazing or it could be extremely toxic, right? You just kind of got to know. And especially like if you're dealing with postpartum depression, I would recommend you get off of social media completely. I know I had to, and I'm a business owner. That's suicide,
right?
As
right,
business
for
owner,
a business,
right? Yeah. Especially if you get a lot of your clients
through referrals or what they see on your page.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, Lord, I need help, and it's not good for me to see all the things, people doing things that I want to do, people looking how I want to look. Got off for 4, 5, 6 months, and I was like, let me just do me and God. It was nobody looking at me. I'm not posting my body, not posting pictures, me and my babies working out. And then so I could come out on the other side and be like, God is good, and he helped me through this, and I'm back. What's up, guys? You know what I'm saying? And also in that time, I was at a point where I felt like I couldn't help other moms or other women because I felt like I couldn't even help myself.
Right.
And so until I got to the point where I felt like, okay, I'm
now I'm
kind of
strong
back.
enough.
I'm mentally strong enough. Cool, I could come back. But again, the role social media can play, it's cool, but there's you could compare yourself a lot and never be satisfied, and that's not cool. Like it's just you're never satisfied, and understanding, I think, something that helps being a Christian, and not to say that being a Christian necessarily going to solve your problems,
but God can help.
God,
if you put him in his proper place,
girl. Because what the thing that got me to a place of being okay with my new twin mom bod was the Lord. Is that I was like, I just don't get it, God. Like, man, this is rough, right? Mm-hmm. I can't fix this even if I wanted to, right? And he just kept reminding me, like, through people too. Mm-hmm. He would give me people to reach out to be like, talk to this person about it. And I'm like, I would text one of my clients to get their phone number through social media because I wasn't going on social media so that they could text girl. And I was like, hey, can you get this girl's number because I don't have it and whatever. And for whatever reason, the Lord told me to talk to you. And through them, whatever reason, they would get me through and they would remind me. God would speak through them to be like, God would never say those things about you.
Never.
Mm-hmm. He does not see you like that at all. And then understanding who I was in Christ, just in all facets, right? And how he loves me and cares for me, and how I'm supposed to, again, honor my body, like, honor him with my body and don't hate it. Like, right. He doesn't hate it. He does not look at me like that. He created it. So he just wants you to take care of what he created. And so if I'm kind of just, struggling with this body that he gave me, when, again, like, what am I defining it? Like, what am I going off of? Like, and I had to kind of redefine like that too, like, because I'm this fitness person. I'm, I have this following. I have to maintain an image for the people, right? And it was like, when I couldn't obtain that image that I'm used to, again, God just had to remind me, hey, like, this is how I see you. And that's the most important. It does not matter what anybody has to say about it. And then redefining myself in him versus what other people think about. Right. You know what I mean? And so that's that's the only thing that got me through postpartum with the twins. I'll be honest. That was the redefining who I was in Christ. Yeah. Like how he sees me. Yeah. And my body and all that other stuff. Like, he loves me no matter what. Yeah. And I'm beautiful. And like in this, it doesn't matter. This body, yeah. In this body, no matter what I might think, it doesn't matter. Like, so yeah. And I think that one thing that we have to that is helpful too is to remember what Paul says about being content. I can be content in whatever situation I find myself in. And so it's like, I don't have to be miserable. Right. Like I can desire a change and still be content at the same time. Right. And I think that people think that that's not possible. Yes. I think they think that if I want to change, that means I'm not content. Right. I'm content with who I am. I'm content with what I have and what I'm doing and how I look right now. But I also understand that I would like to change. And sometimes it's in that contentment that you find the ability to make the changes. That part. Because once you accept where you are, then you're like, okay, well, this is where I am. Right. And that's not too bad. Right. Yeah. But and if I do this, if I lift more weights, if I do some squats, if I go take my kids for a walk, if I prioritize that, spending family time outside instead of sitting in front of the TV. If I do those little things, that'll make my body and my temple better, but it'll also make me better as a mom, as a wife, as a person. Yep. And then loving yourself, regardless of what you see in the mirror, the scale, whatever, is super important, because now you're not working out as a form of punishment. You're not eating because you're like, I shouldn't be eating these things. Like you're not you're trying, you know what I mean?
And then you don't get the guilt trip.
You got it.
And then you don't do the deprivation, like, oh, I'm not going to eat any of this sweets, and only to turn around and eat 15 of the same things a week later. Yeah,
you got it. It's a mindset shift, and I feel like even what I even part of my program, like it's more mental.
It is. Anything, it definitely
right? Like,
is.
Yeah, you're doing XYZ, but it's like, okay, let me get into your mind for a second and kind of see where your thoughts are. And if we could kind of flip how you see food and your relationship and stuff, then you're gonna see like what real freedom looks like. And what contentment. But also, again, it's okay to, again, you could love yourself and still want to change,
right?
And still want to see improvements, right? Like, you can do both, but you almost kind of need to be able to, like, you kind of need to get to that place, like, you know what I'm saying?
You kind of need to get to contentment before you can really make the changes,
right? Like, I get a lot of people get inspired by coming to their breaking point. I can't stand what I see in the mirror. I get that because there's a lot of pain and a lot of hurt and a lot of like, man, like, how did I get here? What happened? I get that, but part of the journey, like you said, like, and one thing I do want a lot of people to realize is when it comes to like fitness and 90-day things or whatever, like, it doesn't end. This is not a destination. Cool, got here, done. It's like, no, this is for life now. Like,
and I think that's what I like about your program is that it's a lifestyle change. It's not like I'm going to do this for 90 days and lose the weight and then I can go back to living my life the way I lived before.
Right.
The things that you give us to implement can be implemented for life.
Right. And I mean, honestly, the stuff that I know, like, we could have done like a super restrictive, very, strict type of protocol where you could have lost 30 pounds, 40 pounds. But I know, and all right, them suckers would have came back.
And then brought friends with them.
Like 100%. It's just how it is. And I sometimes have to be like, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's body responds different. Your body responded very well to the program. And some people's is slower.
Right.
Some people's is faster, right? And it's all about, okay, if you're doing the thing, don't worry, it'll come. Trust the process, right? But being okay with this is lasting change, not quick fix. You know? Because that ain't gonna work out.
Yeah. And I like you said, I think it's a mindset thing. Because a lot of times we put, like you said, you feel like, you can't use working out as a punishment. You have to view it differently. And so a lot of times people will use, I think the difference between people who actually get fit and stay fit and people who like get fit and then revert back after they finish this 90-day or taking this pill or drinking this drink or doing this meal plan. I think the difference is the mindset of, whereas when you are trying to get fit and do a lifestyle change, you are working out, you're eating to fuel your workouts. Right. Whereas when you do that and then you revert back, you're like working out to fuel your eating. Like, oh, I worked out today, so I can eat this. Or I, burned 500 calories. So, you bring me the mac and cheese.
You got it.
And stuff like that versus saying, oh, because I worked out today, I know I need to have protein.
Right.
Because I lifted weights today, I know I need to focus on this. And, and I think that was definitely a shift. Like, that's something that I took out of working with you was that, okay, I need to prioritize because of the way I lift. I love to lift. That's my jam. Awesome. So I know that, okay, if I'm going to do this strict lifting workout where I was like basically no cardio, just mostly like pumping that iron, I need to do the protein.
Right.
And I need to do some carbs. And then, but if I'm doing like on the bike and running, I'm going to need to do some carbs,
right.
Things. So I know now,
right.
I'm fueling my body for the workout that I've done. I'm not using the workout as an excuse
right.
to eat whatever it is that I want to eat.
Right. That's part of building a healthy relationship with food. If you feel like you got to outwork, compensate whatever for whatever you ate with working out or whatever, that's one way that you probably don't have the best relationship with food. And let's talk, okay? Because we need to figure that out. But because that just, you are in a rat race. You're never going to be able to keep up. Like, sometimes you burn calories and it says you burn 500, but you didn't really probably burn that much.
Right.
And I could go into explaining like how much you probably did actually, but then in your mind, okay, like you said, I burned 500, 600, cool.
But it's like some of those you would have burned anyway, just from living life, and so you can't really track those, and so you
got it. So it's like trying to keep up. Like, what you gonna do? Run 20 miles every day? Because that ain't gonna work out.
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
It's miserable. So yeah. And then also getting to the point where you're not, you could eat ice cream and be fine.
Yeah.
Like you're like, okay.
And where you don't have to eat the whole pint at one sitting, because last week you said, oh no, I'm not going to eat ice cream because I'm not eating.
And you're starting on Monday, so who cares? You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the weekend. I'm starting my diet on Monday, so I can have all of these things. And it goes from like a cheat meal, which is, you taught me, is the worst. A cheat meal. Right. How people say, oh, when you go from a cheat meal to a cheat day to a cheat weekend, and before you know it, you're always setting that bar farther. I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to start on Wednesday. I'm going to start next week.
Right.
Whereas just saying, okay, I'm going to start right now. Yeah. And right now, the thing that I'm going to start is taking care of my body.
Right. Or it's okay. That happened. Cool. Moving on. Mm-hmm. I'm okay. Right. Cool. I don't have to go do nothing crazy. Nope. Tomorrow's a new day.
Tomorrow's a new day.
That's it. Like, so yeah, that takes time.
It does.
Everybody's at different levels, and that takes time. So.
Yeah. And I think that having a good relationship with God will help with that, because it'll give you that place to go, to have the mental fortitude, to love yourself, because you realize that God loves you, and to give yourself some grace. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that's the biggest thing.
Yes, one of the biggest things about my program is I tell them imperfect progress. That's one of my like mottos now, that I've kind of, as I've done this more, I'm like, I'm not looking for perfection. Actually, I don't want perfection. We're going to chunk that out the window, because a lot of people come with the all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, let's do away with that, because it's killing it. It's killing y'all. Right. We're just here to fall forward. We're here to get more wins than losses. And that's all I need for you to be successful. Consistency. Like, cool, if you go 5 steps forward and take 3 steps, it's okay. Because guess what? We're still ahead than we were before.
Right. Right.
And it's like, a lot of people think they got to do this is perfect. And then when they're not perfect, then they fall, or life happens, and then they can't keep up with whatever they're doing. And then they're like, oh, forget it. And it's like, no. There's a better way.
Yeah.
And this is why I love working with moms. I'm like, the more chaotic your life is, the better. Let's go, because I can actually help you navigate how to reach your goals, even being within craziness going on. And I've gotten better at kind of communicating with that, and almost hoping that stuff happens. Almost hoping that life happens when I'm working with these moms, because I'm like, great, because if you were in a perfect circumstance, you wouldn't know what it looks like to be able to do what you're doing
with adversity.
When you got it. I'm like, bring it on. People think I'm crazy. One of my clients was like, yeah, you would say that as a coach. But I'm like, no, let's go. Like, life is happening. This is when you start going in a dark hole. We're not doing that. Injuries, whatever. No, we're not doing that this time. We're going to do it different. And I just love mom so much.
Okay, so we're going a little long.
Yeah, sorry.
So we are going to cut this here, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Sunday Showers from the Source. And Rachel will be back with us next week.
Yay.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. And I pray that something was said that God will use to plant a seed in your life, and that He will water it, and it will grow and bloom, and you will flourish in your Christian walk with Him. If you enjoyed today's message, or if you got anything out of it, or if you were blessed by it in any way, you can give us a thumbs up or leave us a comment below. Also, if there's anything that you would like to pray, that you would like prayer over, you can message me give me a private message, or if you want to share it, please share it. And if you want to get more information and see when the new episodes drop every Sunday, then please subscribe. It's right here. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.